When I launch clients on Nimble AMS, one key thing that we need to look at is the front end experience for members and non members alike. And I launched the National Council of Teachers of English, or NCTE, which you can see on screen here. And this is their Community Hub instance. Yours is going to look a little different because of your brand and theme. But in particular, one area that is often neglected is when you put flows, the Salesforce flows, into Community Hub. And not only did we want to have them be functionally helpful, but we actually want them to look good. So I want to walk through these examples and just to show you a little taste of what we can do for you at Seawalker. So even if you are watching this and you're already on Nimble AMS, we can take a look at your existing Community Hub and improve upon the flows that are already built. And maybe functionally, we don't need to change them, but we can stylize them to really make them a much better user experience. So I've already zoomed in a little bit here. Normally it would be at this zoom level, but for the sake of this video here, we'll get to this zoom level. And this is the personal snapshot page. In their case, they call it my NCTE profile. In the membership card, we have a custom member status, and it's a visual lozenge or chip, as it may be referred to, that really clearly calls out the individual status. And so I've custom designed these, and there is one for each status of value, and they always have a color, and it's always very clear to read. So my clients love these because it's available in the back end and in the front end, and it's much more visually appealing than just regular text. The other thing I want to call out to you is this flow. And you may not think at first glance that it's a flow. And that's because I've styled it to look like a regular card. And the use case for why this is a flow is there are up to 10 different types of publications that an individual could have. And with a typical read-only field set card, you have to show all of those 10 fields. You cannot conditionally hide the field if it's blank. So with a flow, we can do that. And so this individual, Nicholas Nimble, only has these 5 publications out of the 10 possible ones. And so we're hiding all the ones that are blank. And then we modified the flow's typical finish button to look like a Community Hub button. And so it's quite an illusion to the user, but that's perfect because we just want them to be able to experience each card fully, whether it's actually a Salesforce flow or not. Another example is the communication preferences page. So this is a custom page we built for NCTE that really lets the individual self-serve decide their email preferences and their other communication preferences. And so we have the option for the individual to allow them to receive NCTE emails about any selected interests. These are up to NCTE. There are 8 of them. They can still select options, but they can also opt to pause and say, okay, after 30 days, go ahead and send me information about these, but I just need a break for now. Okay, and that strict 30 days was up to NCTE. That could be configurable as well. And then if you do the unsubscribe me, see how the flow reacts to that. So we can leverage all the amazing power of a Salesforce flow to recognize, oh, they responded to this question by saying they want to be unsubscribed. So why would we bother asking them to untick every box? It's not a great user experience. So we just hide that and we have the flow in the back end, unsubscribe them from those 8 interests. Okay, but I'll put that back to the subscription. And then the other communication preferences section, notice that this is formatted as a card heading as well. And the way that I like to build out the custom styling for the flows is to empower NCTE admins to, through pure point and click, they can tap into the styles that I've declared in the Community Hub CSS or the style sheets on the element within the flow. They don't have to worry about setting this to the proper font size and bolding the text or anything. They just do a simple little tag, even though it's farther down on the flow screen. Okay, and then we have some checkboxes here where they can opt out of other channels of communication. Okay, and this is completely tailorable to your preferences, but I just wanted to highlight the example we did for NCTE. And really the capstone of this 9-month project, which was their Nimble launch, was the join, renew, / subscribe flow. To be clear, this was a large effort. What they wanted to tap into is the user's intent when they're on this page. And so there's a join / renew / subscribe page, but there's also a subscribe / join / renew. Because what's going to happen is that they're going to direct users to one of these two pages through marketing communications or through their website. And what we're primarily going to focus on is their intent. So if their intent is to subscribe, we're actually going to ask them that question first. If they go to the join, renew, subscribe, they're going to be prompted to become a member or renew their membership first. But there's always that upsell of the other thing. But the first screen they always see is some initial required questions. Again, this is purely for NCTE, but you can start to imagine what you might want to ask in your association or organization's flow. So here we need to ask them about the scholastic interest area, because these are English teachers we're talking about here. And then this one is a common thing I see, which is that the organization offers their publications or journals in different formats. It could be digital or print or digital and print. In the case of NCTE, they offer digital and digital in print. This already is a layer of complexity because we need to have different products in the back end, one for digital and one for digital in print. Okay, because there are different prices associated with that. And then there's an extra little caveat here of, well, one of those 10 publications is actually only available in digital. So I had to bake into the flow that even if they pick digital and print, the English Leadership Quarterly, you must do the digital product because there is no digital in print. Before I leave this page, one other thing I want to call out is if you're comparing this to the flows in your org, I'd be willing to bet, unless you had some customizations done, that your radio buttons are really small. So think of the user experience there. If they're on their mobile device or they're on their desktop and it's that tiny little radio button, it's not really a great user experience. You want the user to be able to easily select options here. Now, Salesforce does let the user click on the text as well, but that may not be intuitive to the user. Most users are going to click on the actual circle, so why not make that bigger? And the font in general is just larger. I know I'm zoomed in here, but even if I zoom out, you'll notice this is significantly larger than the stock Salesforce flow style. We'll hit next here, and then here we're leveraging Salesforce data tables. These are relatively new as of this recording, and they are awesome. These are a real game changer. There's still some things I want to see improved from Salesforce. For example, why are these all equal column widths? This is something currently very hard to style. I would ideally have it be something like this automatically, but we don't have that option yet. I'm hopeful Salesforce will introduce this later. Okay, but data tables in general are amazing because there's a lot of logic already happening here. This user happens to be eligible for student membership. Every individual can only have up to 5 years of student membership. So in the case of Nicholas Nimble, he hasn't hit that threshold yet, so this shows up. There's also a different membership type that he's not eligible for. That's for emeritus or retired individuals that he doesn't qualify for, so it doesn't even show up here. So really the goal here is to have tons of heavy lifting done in the back end, but you can see that even as I'm moving from screen to screen, it is super fast. We are informing Nicholas that his current membership expires in March, which as of this recording is a couple months from now. And he can renew a single year, a 2-year, and a 3-year. When we were doing discovery for NCTE, I asked if they wanted to do the multi-year, the 1, 2, 3-year, or the auto-renew. And their answer was both, which adds complexity. But I want to show this example because this is one of the most complex flows I built, and it's actually about 6 flows behind the scene because I wanted to have this be scalable and reusable. So this screen itself is a subflow, and it's used by both the join, renew, subscribe flow and the subscribe, join, renew flow. So if they need to change this page, they only have to change it in one place, and that's a well-architected system. You shouldn't be cloning a flow and it has all the same questions because guess what? Every time you make a change, it doubles your work. you're going to have to update the first flow and the second flow. This screen is asking them about the membership type, and they could do a 2-year. And as you'll see later, they can actually auto-renew that once every 2 years. Okay, and then the next screen was the subscription. So this is where the upsell comes in. And we want to be helpful to the user. So we don't know what they're coming in with. They could have some subscriptions, some that are auto-renewing, some that are not. So these are Nicholas's current subscriptions. He has 5 of them, and they are all just regular non-auto-renewing. So what we've done is we present that to him, and then we pre-select those. And not only that, but there's a lot of complexity here, and it was fun to build all this because there were so many layers. And so when I said this is the capstone of their project, it really was. But out of their 10 publications, 5 of them would be what are called conferences or constituent groups, which are kind of like these pseudo memberships, if you will. They are becoming a member of these kind of subgroups. And they wanted to present those in one section here. And then the other 5 would be presented in the list of select subscriptions. But that was only if their intent was to join or renew. If their intent here is to subscribe, they don't really want to confuse the user because these kind of constituents are kind of just saying, well, I'm aware that NCTE has publications and I want to see a list of those. So notice how it's going to be different here. I'll click next. Since their main intent is to subscribe, and notice this, there's no constituent groups. We're just presenting the user experience differently. All 10 publications are in this one table. And what we have done for the individual is pre-selected those 5. So it's really, really making Nick's renewal so easy. If he just wants to not do auto renewal, he doesn't have to. But we're letting him just go, okay, I want to renew my 5. Oh, great, they already picked those for me. Maybe I want to add a 6th one, talking points. And then we click next. And then since I switched to the different flow, the upsell on the subscribe, join, renew is join, renew. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that 2-year membership, hit next. And then this screen is reacting to the fact that they picked a membership and a subscription. And so it's defaulting to yes, let's auto renew. That was NCTE's choice. It could be the opposite, but we have it defaulting to auto renew. Hit next, and now we're doing all these crazy calculations behind the scenes. And this was a beast to build out, but it's so powerful because what NCTE wanted to do was they do allow individuals to subscribe without a membership. But if they are buying a membership and a subscription or subscriptions at the same time, their request was, hey, well, can we have the subscriptions be prorated such that the end date aligns with the membership? So what I mean by that is the membership is going to start April 1st. As we saw earlier, his membership is ending March 31st. So this is going to go for 2 years starting April 1st. And then they wanted the subscriptions to all end on the same date. But notice how the start dates are all different. So these are all different prices because of the proration. Okay, so for CEL, he currently has a subscription through September 30th of 2025. And so this is only a partial price here. It's specifically 6 months, so it's half price. Same with the English Journal, whereas other ones, they don't have a subscription out that far. This one is the new one I added. So the subscription here is going to start on the 1st of next month. And so that's going to be a pretty long subscription, right? It's going to be over 2 years worth there from Feb 1, 2024 until March 31, 2026. So the proration can go in the higher direction, meaning in excess of the normal 12 months, or it can go in the opposite direction because the subscription is less than 12 months. So all of that calculation is happening, and then we're allowing them to say, yep, everything's good, take me to checkout, or no, I want to start over. And the great part is this is all flow. So as Nimble moves to the new Experience Cloud Community Hub, as a flow, this is going to be something that we can port over to the Experience Cloud instead of the Visualforce Community Hub. So they're really set up for the future, but right now, being on Visualforce Community Hub in early 2024, where most clients are, they can provide an amazing user experience today, but also be prepared for the future. And so here's where we send them to the stock checkout page. The memberships here, the subscriptions here. NCTE also sells merchandise through the Lightning Store, and they also do events. We also built in customization where if there's a membership in the cart, we're going to give the individual the member pricing for events and for merchandise. And they also do coupons and taxation. They don't do advanced taxation, but they do basic taxation through the Nimble system. And we have to test to make sure all of it worked. So this is the kind of care that I put into the project. And a lot of this was involving several different diagrams, mock-ups, prototypes, tons of meetings. And then I document it all, and I give the client here, NCTE, I gave them a very clear spec of work. So they knew going into this how much it was going to cost. And we came in under budget. And so the styling for the flows was the icing on the cake. They said, well, great, we have extra hours. Can you make this prettier? I said, yeah, I'd love to. And I love doing that stuff. So I hope this whets your palate in terms of what's really possible with the Visualforce Community Hub. And as we move into the Experience Cloud Community Hub, really providing your constituents the best user experience possible, which in turn brings in more revenue for you, because if they're not frustrated with having to go through your customer service with something this complex, they can just self-serve do it and it just works really well. That's going to drive tons of growth for your organization. And right on day one, even though it was a soft launch, which means it wasn't widely broadcasted, we had tons of people coming in to become a member or renew their membership. And it went very, very smoothly. If you're interested in working with me, I'll put a link to my website. Feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to consult with you on how we can make your community hub even better.